during that time, I spoke different occasions at the movement, like they would have preachers. I was not preaching at that time, but I did deliver for speaking. But I would say that the most memorable would be going down to City Hall and looking Bull Connor in the face, smiling in his eye, and saying that if you hire me as a policeman, my job is to arrest anyone who breaks the laws of the city of Birmingham. I will arrest a white man.
Were you afraid of Bull Connor when you went down?
No. That was something that was, I think, had been dispelled from us, you know. Those persons who participated in that movement, I think all of us who went from week to week, we were prepared. I would say just to go ahead and give our lives. We were prepared for that. Now, I remember some of the meetings when we would have to go to City Hall. We would come out, and the white detectives and things would be there snapping pictures. They wanted to get pictures of all them smart Negroes, you know. And I remember there was another fellow, and I stood up, go ahead and take our picture, care anything about it. We just had made up in our minds then. You could have been killed in a way for nothing, you know, whether you was participating or not. You was just a black person. Like they just picked randomly to castrate the man and randomly to kill. It couldn't happen. So no, we didn't have it, no. I didn't.
You were married in 1962.
Yes, 62, September.
Was your wife involved in
No,
the movement?
she was not involved. Why? She was teaching school, but
she in Birmingham school system.
She was at Jefferson County school system,
Okay.
but she was not involved.
What school?
She was at Pittman Junior High, and then she retired from Pittman Junior High, and she taught a few years at Woodward Junior High, and then she taught several years down in Perry County, Marion, Alabama. You might remember the voting rights demonstration down there with Albert Turner, and they had the young black man who was shot by the state trooper down there. Right. I think his name was James Jackson or something like that. Right. But she taught down there at Lincoln School in Marion, Alabama, but she was not involved up here. I was the one who was involved.
Right. Did your mother and your father were
involved? Mama and Daddy, yeah, they attended the meetings every week. They loved Reverend Shaw's way. And the thing about my daddy, in addition to working at the steel mill, my dad worked for white families, you know, cutting the grass, whatever they need. Like one man who served as the mayor, Long Sides, and he worked for him. And very often, you know, they want to talk about Dr. King, and the movement and what's going on, and Dad would just go ahead and agree with him. But he would say, and let them say what they wanted to say about Dr. King. And he was saying, I'm going to take this money that you pay me, and I'm taking it down to the movement tonight, and I'm going to give it to Dr. King.
So he was, his job was never threatened as a result of his activity in the struggle?
No. See, that was the way he handled himself. He just went ahead and let him go ahead. He agreed with them. And on the quiet side, he said, well, I'm going to make your money, then take it and give it to Dr. King.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that your parents then had instilled something deep inside of you that would call you back to the fore, so that you would be as active as you was.
Yeah. I had an uncle who went with us. I wish I had brought the article that was in the Birmingham News where one of the reporters interviewed him during those demonstrations and things. His name was Clyde Packer, and that newspaper reported titled it as Quiet Anger, you know. If it's okay if I find it, I'm going to bring it down.
Love that.
But it described quiet anger, you know. But it was something about them. I would say my parents, number one, they wanted education. And at the same time, they just wouldn't accept the status quo. I remember I was reading about Dr. King once, and I quote this sometimes when I'm preaching. Dr. King said he was somewhere over in Georgia. And there was a little town in Georgia, downtown, and people were gathered, and he heard some singing and the strumming on a banjo. So he went up closer to see what the man was saying. But it was a Negro singing, and Dr. King said the lines were what he was singing. I've been down so long until being down don't bother me. That's what he was saying. But my parents were never like that. And some things that they didn't have, they wanted us to have. Now, of course, all of the black people then, it was rough, you know, coming up through the Depression years in Wilcox County. But they were faithful members of the movement. From week to week, we get in our car and we would come. It was dangerous going back home, you know, like that, traveling during that time. But we did it.
But you obviously added quite a bit to what we've done here in terms of talking about your own personal things. Is there anything else that you would like to include before we conclude this?
No, but I would like to bring that article. And also, I want to bring one of the speeches that I gave at one of the mass meetings.
Oh, that would be great.
I want to bring it. I was thumbing through it. I happened to see that, but I couldn't put my hands on it this morning. I saw that speech. And it was interesting to just look at it and see what your thinking was like at that time, the 57s, and what you have to say to try to motivate our people, you know.
See, that's so important for the historical record.
Yeah.
Because then you're putting it right in the context of its times, what is being stated. So we can basically sort of think about what would be said, but if you have a written piece, and this is what you delivered, that is putting it right in the context.
Okay, I'm going to bring it then.
That'd be great.
I was looking at what we had to say to our people then and kind of keep us motivated.
Right,
you know.
right.
And the only thing I would say, that we all are grateful for how far we have come. All of the people who made sacrifices, many of them we know about, and so many that we don't know about, but we owe a debt of gratitude. But something is happening to our people across the land. And sometimes I wonder what the attitude of Dr. King would be when he would see black on black crime, rape, robbing, not taking advantage of opportunities that's here, not trying to get an education when we got so many opportunities. And we just need to go back to some of those values. I said on a sermon Sunday, when I was preaching, I had made reference to how our people, when we would meet from church to church, and how the people prayed with sincerity. And those old people on their knees, they would pray sometimes until they would become exhausted. And I told my people, God heard those kind of prayers and delivered us. And we got to go back. Sometimes I even wonder, this integration, many may not agree with me. We made some wonderful advances that helped us, but at the same time, I believe it hurt us. Because we might be the reason why.
Why do you think it hurt us? How did it hurt us?
I think it hurt us because when I look at black kids today, let's say in the public schools, it hurt us, number one, the best of what we had as a race of people. Not only material things like black businesses, but also our minds, the best mind. They have been removed from where the average black child can benefit from that example. For instance, we know about the stores and the businesses we used to own that have solved. Now, when we were coming up, in our community then, the role models were there. The black teacher, doctor, dentist, businessman, it was all in the community there. But when you go in the community now, the black doctor might be out in the suburb. the black teacher somewhere else. And as a consequence, the kids don't have that role model. And on the inside of the schoolroom, what's happening? Well, again, integration. You got a whole lot of, I sad to say, like I said, you got a whole lot of white females who are there who really are not interested in the children obtaining an education, but they are just there as long as their husbands are in medical school or in law school. And as soon as they finish med school and law school, they're gone. So those black teachers in the county system, for instance, when my wife retired, black principal almost non-existent now, black principal. Black teachers, who were dedicated, who were really concerned about it, we don't have that. It has hurt us in that respect.
How do we reverse that?
We can begin to reverse it not by going back to the segregated days, not by. But there is such a thing, you know, I believe it was Carter Woodson wrote something about the miseducation of the Negro. We've got to stop allowing other folks to set our agenda. And I'm afraid too many instances we have done that, set our agenda for us. It's time for us, we ought to know where we want to go and how to get there. Now, you know what causes most of the problems in our society today? We live largely in a fatherless society, particularly among blacks. Sometimes I quote to my people, I got kids in the church. I will notice, now, you have 15 of those kids in the choir, for instance. And this is repetitive all across the country. And you ask yourself, of those 15 kids, how many of them got a dad who would be sleeping in the house tonight with them? And sometimes you don't have more than 2 who will be in the area of hand. It's things like that. We have spirit mentality. Now, we can't blame it on the white man because we've been free now for 13 years, 300 years, you know. But basically, we got to go back to stressing education on our people and work ethics. You know, I remember, I think it used to be, it was a debate between Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois. And Booker T. Washington had his values and what he thought that we ought to stress, and W.B. Du Bois had his ideas. But I think time has demonstrated perhaps that Booker T. Washington was correct. You know, we ought to go back to some of these basic things. I noticed right in Fairfield, with a new company, they have about 1,500 workers, they got about 700. They don't have enough people there. Got basic skills about the computer and the internet. But yet we got so many of our young people who are just on the corner doing nothing, not trying to prepare themselves at all. We, and it's going to take us, the other folks are not interested in trying to solve a problem like that. We got to do it. We preachers and things. So that's where we got to go back.